Nell Stephenson, paleoista. We've been talking about food quality. We've been talking about eating a delicious, savory lifestyle that we can keep up. Key area to look through the quality lens is fat, because on one hand, it's all about not fearing fat and understanding that natural fats are great for you.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that we have to look at fat just like we look at everything else, which is quality first.
Exactly. So 3 fats that I list as go-to fats that we should have every day: extra virgin olive oil, hopefully organic, coconut oil, unrefined coconut oil, and fresh raw avocados. People always talk about nuts. Nuts are interesting because in moderation, they can be part of a healthy diet, but think of them as a garnish, not as a go-to fat, not as something you're eating by the handful every day. And the reason for that is all nuts and all seeds, even the raw ones, are very high in omega-6s, which are inflammatory, and low in omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. And one surprising example is the almond, which is so popular, and it's a better choice than a peanut butter, which is not actually a nut. But it has virtually no detectable levels of omega-3s, which doesn't mean you can't eat nuts. It just means if there's a day when you have some nuts, make sure that at some point during the day you're getting a nice healthy dose of omega-3s. So some wild salmon would be a perfect example. And
just like you talk about food quality with everything else, like focusing on more maybe berries and citrus rather than other kinds of fruits, and wild-caught meats and fish instead of other kinds. It seems like there are classes of fats, like you mentioned some, for example, avocados, where our health and our happiness would be better served if we went out of our way to eat them. And I mean things like avocados, like you said, coconuts, cocoa, things like those where we literally go out of our way and try to eat more of them. And an area which there might be some confusion is if you're going out of your way to eat more of one thing, generally that's going to mean eating less of something else, because you only have, at some point, food doesn't taste good anymore, right? Like if you eat 1 pound of meat and then 2 pounds of meat, the 3rd pound will not be as good as the first pound, right? So what I'd like to do is to really focus on these best fats, these omega-3 fats, these wonderful fibrous saturated fats, these monounsaturated fats, and to eat so many of those that you're too full for the other stuff. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, and to keep it in context, we're not saying that you should sit down and eat until you're full, because there is that 10 to 15 minute delay between eating and the brain registering and deciding what you've eaten. But at the end of a meal, you want to be satisfied. You don't want to feel like you need to take a nap because you're in a food coma. But you also don't want to feel like you're still hungry. So, and portion sizes, you have to really just tune in to let your body tell you how much you can start with a number if you want. You can calculate your body weight and your activity level and assume that you need this much calories per day. But again, that's just a number, and like you said before, our bodies are not what was the phrase that the body's not
it's a balance scale.
Or it's not a math problem, it's a science problem. So
exactly.
we have to use our own body as an experiment and let ourselves figure out what portion size is, but it's all about the balance.
And I actually find when personally I and a lot of people I know eat in this very high quality paleo type fashion, you can get so satisfied so quickly that, say, like, I really like the taste of chocolate, I really like the taste of coconut, so I make these wonderful desserts which are chocolate or cocoa and coconut based, and I find that if I really eat a lot of healthy fats with my meal, I actually don't have room for this little healthy dessert I made at the end. So sometimes I might go a little bit lower fat in the meal, not because I'm afraid of fat.
No, but you're going to have it at the dessert.
But I want to have it at the dessert, right?
And that's where the whole balance comes in. And that reminds me of another point, which is the occasional glass of red wine. Again, we're not living in a bubble. The point of the paleo diet is not to tell people you have to cook every single meal for the rest of your life in your kitchen, and you can't dine out, and you can't be social. That's not it at all. So in that comes with a drink, and every once in a while, some people are coming from a background where maybe they drink a little too much. So I'm not saying this is something you should do on a daily basis, but there are going to be those occasions, a wedding, a birthday, an anniversary, where you might want to have a drink. And the thing is to keep it in balance. So first of all, pick a drink that's you don't want to go with the super syrupy, sugary pina colada mai tais, but if you had a glass of red wine now and then, you're going to have a drink or two later on in the day. Balance the whole rest of the day by keeping the rest of the day even more alcohol than you would normally do. And maybe you don't eat even less fruit that day because you're going to be getting enough sugar in the wine. So that day you really want to have even more vegetables and more of that healthy fat and protein, so that when you have a glass of wine, it's not going to skew the balance off too much.
It really just seems, and I hate to be like, I have a hammer so everything's a nail, but if we just keep coming back to quality, right? There's high quality alcohols and low, not high quality such that you should go out. Like they're so high quality that you should drink more of them. But in any area of life, it seems like the question is not like fat is good or fat is bad, or alcohol is good or alcohol is bad, or protein is good or protein is bad. It's what are the highest quality sources of those things available, and if you need to eat them, if they bring you more joy than sadness and more health than sickness, just eat the higher quality variants.
Exactly. And just really pay attention to your point that you made previously about how many steps. That's another good rule of thumb to think about. How many steps did it take from this item to get from how it grew or how it ran or landed to your plate? If it's 1 or 2, that's great. If it's 8, I don't know.
I love it.